It's time to figure out, can you beat Fallout 4 with only Nuka-Cola? I chose the female for the Black Widow perk, of course. Pick my name as Nuka-Cola. Should have been Nuka-Cola, I know, but hey. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, then I watched the entire world be destroyed by a nuclear bomb. Then I got the pleasure of watching my husband being shot to death, like every Fallout run. After that, it was time for me to escape the vault, and for once I could actually attack the rad roaches. So for the rules of the challenges, I'm only allowed to heal by drinking Nuka-Cola. It doesn't matter what type. Nuka-Cola, Nuka-Cola Quantum, Nuka-Cola Cherry, it doesn't matter. However, those are the only rules, so I can fight with anything I want. So I went to Diamond City and stole as much Nuka-Cola as I possibly could, because in Fallout 4, it's different from Fallout 3. No one sells Nuka-Cola, except for a Nuka-World. Now, I could have just, ransacked the wasteland, collecting Nuka-Cola after Nuka-Cola, but that's not very sustainable. So I decided to go off to Nuka-World at level 1. Yeah, I know, that was very dumb of me. But luckily, I stole a mini-nuke. I was hoping that if I stole a few mini-nukes here and there, that I could try to use it to get past Nuka-World. So I used a mini-nuke to get past the security. Then I turned on the subway station, and it was time for me to go to Nuka-World. At least try to. If you don't know, going to Nuka-World, there's a lot of traps and even a tournament at the very end. So I was going to go through all that with only the Nuka-Colas I stole from Diamond City. So yeah. After going through some traps here and there, I was able to make it past some obstacles. However, I lied to you, this challenge turned easy later in the game, but this was the hardest thing I've ever done in Fallout. I have died millions of times, hours to try to get in this stupid theme park. And I died a lot, and I mean a lot. But this video would be hours long if I showed you all that, so I'm just going to skip past it, say I sucked ass on the traps, and then I blew up a raider and killed him with a mini-nuke. And I had 1 health left. 1 health. Look at that. I was able to use the water gun and hit him with the mini-nuke after many failed attempts. And I was finally Raider boss. And I did all that just so I can buy some Nuka-Cola. Was it worth it? Well, I had to for the run. To be honest, I probably should have leveled up a bit. No matter how high level I got, I would never be the recommended one. But I could have, collected it out from the wasteland and waited a bit up and got some power armor. But I didn't do that, so I guess it is entirely my fault. Anyway, I decided to take out my frustration on a Diamond City guard. Luckily, the Raider boss dropped an Iron Fist, but it wasn't nearly as good as the legendary one, which I wanted. But for now, I was going to have to settle with this one, as I was finally able to buy some Nuka-Cola. After buying some Nuka-Cola, I went off to try to find Nick Valentine, and now it was time to fight the Triggerman. And it was time to see how effective this Nuka-Cola was. Spoiler alert, it was very effective. You see, Nuka-Cola and Nuka-Cola Quantum are all you can find in Fallout 4, the Commonwealth. And Nuka-Cola is kind of like water, just a little less good for healing. And Nuka-Cola Quantum is very great. But in Nuka-World, you get so many overpowered Nuka-Cola drinks. So I was easily able to deal with the Triggerman. After that, I talked to Nick Valentine. And yeah, you know how that goes. So I'm just going to cut to Skinny Malone, who I just absolutely clobbered with my Iron Fist. Not going to lie, his guards were able to damage me quite a bit. So I had to drink some Nuka-Cola and fall back a bit. But after that, I was able to take them off one by one. Until I got to Skinny Malone, who I just straight up punched to death. Not going to lie, that honestly felt kind of good. After killing Skinny Malone, it was time for me to leave the vault and meet back with Nick. But before I did that, I decided to help out the Brotherhood. You see, do this quest right, you can have as many fusion cells as you want to power up some laser rifles. So that was my plan, as I wanted a strong laser rifle and strong energy cells for a very special personal mission. After doing the quest, Paladin Dan gave me Righteous Judgment, and I was able to finally start this quest. After getting Righteous Judgment, I decided to go after Swan, the big giant behemoth super mutant that could kill you in 2 hits. And well, there's a thing about Nuka-Cola. It doesn't heal your limbs. So I was as slow as a turtle with all my limbs broken as I hid behind a fence as he threw rocks at me. So it was time to see what does more damage, my lasers or his rocks. You would think that giant boulders being thrown at my face would kill me instantly, but apparently just drinking some Nuka-Cola helps me. Also, how do you heal but your limbs don't? I don't understand that. Anyway, after having all my limbs be broken, become an amputee, I was able to get the better Iron Fist. So I met up with Nick to finally save my son or whatever. After that, I talked to the mayor, and he gave me the key to find Kellogg. And luckily, Kellogg had a bunch of Nuka-Cola Quantums and some other Nuka-Cola. I tried to grab one, but Nick was in the way. Sadly, I couldn't just punch him out of the way. Actually, I probably could, so I don't know why I didn't do that. After that, I met Dogmeat for the first time. Didn't care, as he led me to Kellogg. Now it was time to test out my Iron Fist. Luckily, this isn't my cannibal video, so I can just heal right after destroying a few scents, so this shouldn't be that hard at all. The scents were able to give me quite a bit of damage, but that's just because of my low armor, and not anything to do with the challenge difficulty, as my Iron Fist easily made work of them. After that, I eventually got the Kellogg, so I took some Jet. Jet doesn't heal you, so I'll allow it for the challenge, and if you don't like it, then leave a mean comment, and I won't read it. After taking the Jet, I easily just slaughtered Kellogg, effortlessly. I must say, Iron Fist is probably one of my favorite weapons in Fallout. It's definitely fun to play with. After that, I then watched the Brotherhood come in there, and I was able to get some free power armor from the Brotherhood since I joined them. But I already get the Brotherhood ending quite a bit, so I decided not to do that. I'll show you what ending I get later. After that, I then went inside of Nick and Kellogg's brain and saw that the Institute was using teleportation. Hip hip hooray, it's now time for me to go to literal hell to find Virgil. But before I did that, I wanted some better power armor for later, so I decided to take the quest where I fight the Enclave, where they broke all my limbs and I could barely move. You might wonder how I heal after that. Simple. All you have to do is wait. If all your enemies are dead, your bones will heal. I don't know why. Anyway, if you want a hazmat suit, go to that location and you can get one. After grabbing the hazmat suit, it was time for me to enter the glow and see. I could get power armor, but I was spending all my caps on Nuka-Cola, not gonna lie, so I didn't want to spend it on fusion cords, and finding them is a hassle. So I spoke to Virgil, and it was time for me to hunt down a courser. Now, this quest is usually pretty easy. The hardest time I have is actually the girl with a rocket launcher. She kills me more times than I can count. And I could swear it's a guy with a rocket launcher. Is it a random NPC, or is it the same person every time? I guess it doesn't matter, because I just killed them effortlessly this time. I did say this time, because they killed me once off camera. After that, I made it to the courser, and the courser did this little move where he turned invisible, and would block all my hits. But since he's doing barely any damage because I knocked the weapon out of his hand, it didn't really matter. As a few punch later, eventually the courser was dead. With the courser dead, I was able to get the chip, and I leveled up enough to upgrade my minigun to the Shredder, which is my favorite weapon in the game. I guess, I don't know if it counts as its own weapon since it's a weapon's attachment technically, but you know what I mean. After that, I met up with Tinker Tom, who decoded the chip for me. Thank you so much, Tom. After that, I met with Dinkin, and it was time for me to join the railroad. So, before I can do that, I had to clear out their old base and get what they were looking for. So yeah, doing that wasn't too hard. At this point, synths don't really do a lot of damage to me because of my armor and my great weapons. After all that, though, I was able to enter the Institute with the railroad, and it was time for me to talk to my son, who was called Father. Very interesting. After talking to him, I agreed to join. Of course, I lied to him, as I was going to start an insurrection. But before I can do that, I needed the password to the Institute terminal so I can teleport some railroad agents in. So, I killed Molly because I knew she was going to trap me, and I found the password to the Institute. After that, I then met up with a courser, and it was time for me to bring back a rogue synth. So, that's exactly what I did. I fought some raiders. Nah, they weren't tough at all, except for the one with the mini nuke, but eventually I got past them, so then I just used the code to reset Gabriel, and then just murdered the raiders. After that, it was time for me to arm the rebels, as I gave them some great weapons. The better the weapons they have, the better they have the end game, so the easier it would be. So, I wanted this final mission to be as easy as possible. After that, I took down the guards, so the synths can start a rebellion underground. Then, I had to destroy a courser in the Battle of Bunker Hill. Destroy the courser, you don't even have to fight. So, that's all I did. After destroying the courser, I went to Father and told him that his courser was a piece of junk and lied straight to his face. After that, I was named the next director, even though I'm a traitor and I failed the mission, not really smart on their half. and I was able to use the shredder out on some Brotherhood soldiers. I also used Righteous Judgment on them in the elevator. I know I can just skip the elevator ride, but I don't really do it because I kind of like it, honestly. After that, I got the Bajillion Agitator, and it was time for me to fight some robots. Now, usually this is pretty hard, but since I have Enclave Power Armor and the Shredder, one of the literal best weapons in the entire game, it goes pretty easily. I do get stopped every once in a while when I get knocked back, but other than that, the Sentry Bot was kind of a pushover. After that, I wiped out the Assaultrons with the Shredder. The Shredder is one of the best weapons in the game, by the way, if you didn't know. After that, I then went over and destroyed some gunners because they were trying to stop us from recruiting someone. Then, I talked this guy into joining the cult, joining the Beautiful Institute. After that, I made a speech telling everyone how great the Institute was. A politician I am. After that, I then hacked into the radio to signal my speech to everyone. And then I installed the Bajillion Agitator. And then I was talking about destroying the Brotherhood of Steel and how we were going to do it. Of course, that didn't really matter. After that, I went to Desdemona and warned them about the Brotherhood attack. As the Brotherhood thought they can destroy me, apparently a minigun that shoots bullets loses to a minigun with just a bunch of spikes that rotate around. I don't know how that works, but we're going to pretend that makes sense, because I just shredded them all to pieces. After shredding them all to pieces, I then tried to put Gloria out of her misery, but sadly the game wouldn't let me. Come on, Bethesda, you're better than that. Actually, I guess you're not. After that, I then fought through some more Brotherhood soldiers. Watching their armor shredder is probably one of the best feelings you can ever have. After that, it was time for me to clear out the police station and hijack the Vertibird and send it straight to the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood, of course, tried to stop me, but I was able just to shred them into pieces. Just watching their power armor fall off is amazing. I know I've said this before, but you have not lived until you put a shredder up against power armor. It's just such a satisfying feeling. After that, I then went to the Brotherhood Penguin and decided not to use stealth. Instead, I wanted to go in guns blazing and just shredder their all. It was pretty fun. However, having a million people shoot you with laser rifles, even with the best power armor of the game, does drain your health quite a bit, so I had to be smart in how I fought. After that, I then placed some bombs all over the Penguin so I can blow it up. So then I left and watched the fireworks. There goes the fascist Brotherhood, gone away. So I teleported Desdemona in, and it was time to lead the assault on the Institute. But before I can do that, I had to kill an endangered species, forever making it extinct. After that, I felt kinda bad, so I warned the people to evacuate, and then got things ready for the railroad to take over. As then I set the bomb on the reactor, left the Institute, blew it up, and proved yes you can beat Fallout 4 with only Nuka-Cola. However, I was not done yet. I wanted to free Nuka-World. You see, the whole reason I was able to get Nuka-Cola is because the slaves at Nuka-World, so it's only right that I free them. Also, it took me hours to get here, and I died over and over again because of the Zoo Raiders, so it was time for some payback. As I got the best power armor, the best melee weapon. Well, I guess you can argue Super Sludge better, but I think the Shredder definitely beats it. As then, it was time for me to go ham, with only some Nuka-Cola and a Shredder to destroy these raiders. And they put up somewhat of a fight, not gonna lie. When there's big groups of them, they almost killed me several times. But whenever they were down to a little bit of numbers, I was just easily able to shred them. And after a while, this became easy. Just walking up to them and shredding them to bits. They even almost entirely broke my power armor, every single piece, which is the best armor in the game. So, these raiders are just so overpowered. But after destroying them all, and by the way, some guy tried to fight with a knife, not that smart, I then proved once and for all you can beat the game with Nuka-Cola. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.